What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and this video is probably a placeholder just in case Blizzard does the unthinkable, the unimaginable, while also doing the very predictable thing of not issuing a statement. I've said before, I said again, I eagerly await the end of the day for a Blizzard statement. Nobody said they're going to say anything by the end of the day. I've got no insiders that say they're going to say anything by the end of the day, but this is how companies work. They issue random statements on Fridays, usually at the end of the day, so that it gets swept under the rug into the weekend hubbub. Now we have League of Legends, RIOT Games issuing a reminder to kneel before their Chinese overlords, and this, of course, comes as 100% not surprising, as, in case you didn't know, RIOT Games is owned 100% by Tencent, the Chinese company. We have John Needham, the global head of League of Legends esports, saying the following. As we near this weekend's League of Legends World Championship group stage, I want to take a moment to speak clearly about how we approach sensitive topics on Riot's broadcasts. And by sensitive topics, they mean Hong Kong. As a general rule, we want to keep our broadcasts focused on the game and sport and the players. We serve fans from many different countries and cultures, and we believe this opportunity comes with the responsibility to keep personal views on sensitive issues separate. Now, this is a sentiment that I would normally agree with. In fact, at the end of the day, I do agree with it. These broadcasts should be about the game and not virtue signaling and everything else. However, that's not what John Needham is saying here. He's not saying, well, what he says is, we serve fans from many different countries and cultures, and we believe this opportunity comes with a responsibility. But what he really means is, China is number one. I enjoy Chinese man meat in my mouth, and I don't want to get fired. We don't want to have a PR disaster like what Blizzard is having. They're saying we serve people in many countries and cultures, but ultimately we must protect our red state overlords. He continues. These topics are often incredibly nuanced, require a deep understanding and a willingness to listen, and cannot be fairly represented in the forum of our broadcast provides. Therefore, we have reminded our casters and pro players to refrain from discussing any of these topics on air. Again, a sentiment that I 100% agree with. If you want to watch a Hearthstone tournament or a League of Legends tournament, absolutely, they should be about that. It's not a forum to spout your personal politics, whether I agree with them or not. And I want to be clear that I agree with with Blitz Chung's opinion, and I support him 100%. However, these companies now all of a sudden are coming out and saying, oh, well, remember, we're apolitical. Meanwhile, we'll rake in all the Pride Day retweets and the International Women's Day retweets and the Black History Month retweets. We're fine with players doing that. We're fine co-opting these things so that you retweet us and that you spend money in our game. But when it comes to upsetting our Chinese overlords, that's where we draw the line. Again, to be very clear, if all of these companies had a policy in place up front that said, look, you're here to play the game, you're not here to do this kind of stuff, it doesn't matter if we agree or disagree with you, it's not allowed. But that's not the policy that these companies have had, or at the very minimum, in Blizzard's case, it's not a policy they've ever really enforced until China. They go on to say, our decision also reflects that we have RIOT employees and fans in regions where there was or risk of social unrest, including places like Hong Kong. We believe we have a responsibility to do our best to ensure that statements or actions on our official platforms, intended or not, do not escalate potentially sensitive situations. Is this a veiled threat? This is basically saying, well, it's not good for our safety, the safety of our employees that are in regions that are under the reach of the red state. That's one way you could interpret this. Now, I don't know what John Needham meant by this, But it's clear that they're trying to say, well, this is a personal safety thing, which, again, fine. Have the policy always disallowing personal, kind of stuff like that. Oh, and by the way, stop doing interviews with these players. Stop getting thousands of hours of free content off players who are competing for just the chance of earning prizes. Remember that people like League of Legends, Riot Games, Wizards of the Coast, Hearthstone, Blizzard, these companies stream to tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of people, these elimination events where the overwhelming majority of everyone competing in these events, one, aren't getting paid, and two, likely won't make any money. Only the top tier of players will get paid. Meanwhile, they'll have days and days of content in which they'll use to monetize, run their ads, and gather sponsorships. So remember, they're fine making money off you. You just have to sit there and take it. They go on to say, we'll always strive to deliver a great competitive experience for players and fans. It's interesting that, while, again, a statement I agree with, just happens to finally come out now once we're talking about China. It may be idealistic, but we hope that League of Legends can be a positive force that brings people together no matter where they are in the world. Right. We want to make our money, and we don't want anything interrupting that. Even if it's just one game at a time on Summoner's Rift. Wow. I'm sure everyone reacted to this great. As of right now, Riot is the very least handling things better than Blizzard. When someone shows up with the free Hong Kong signs, though, cough, cough, that'll be the true test. And they will. I guarantee it. By the way, 100% owned by the CCP propaganda arm known as Tencent. Keep licking Beijing's boots. Here we have more memes paid for by Tencent. Cowards. Look, at least in Riot's case, you can understand. Like, they literally are a Chinese company in every single stand or every single definition of the word. Riot doesn't have a choice. They're 100% owned by a Chinese company. People forget that. And now when you spend your money with Riot Games, remember that. Remember where that money goes. And now, finally, some of these major media outlets are starting to pick this stuff up, but they're still afraid to have any opinion. Here's IGN. League of Legends esports players asked not to discuss sensitive topics on air. Again, totally fine policy if you had it up front. And you wonder if League of Legends would have had a problem with somebody wearing a pride pin or somebody wearing an international or a trans flag. Do you think they would have come out and said this? No. No, they wouldn't. And if they did punish somebody for doing this, every major media outlet on the planet would be lambasting them. Except for, in this case, because China and IGN doesn't want that money to stop rolling in, and Kotaku and Polygon, few of these outlets are taking strong stands against it. I wonder why. Maybe they're all licking the boot. Riot Games says any punishment for rule breaking will be determined case by case. Following the controversy with Blizzard, in a statement published by League of Legends' official esports Twitter account, Riot's global head of League of Legends esports, John Needham, issued a long statement on expected player conduct ahead of this weekend's event on a group stage. When IGN asked Riot Games what would happen to players or casters that did speak about sensitive topics on air, a Riot spokesperson said, "We'd look at every situation case by case, so whether there'd be any consequence or what the consequence would vary based on circumstance." This statement comes on the heels of a dramatic week for Blizzard Entertainment, who punished Hearthstone player Blitzchung for supporting Hong Kong protests during an official post-game interview with Blizzard's Taiwan team. The casters in the interview were also punished. Not punished, fired. All right? The incident kicked off a firestorm of controversy for Blizzard as fans and lawmakers and even famous Hearthstone casters criticized the company, its actions. Fans launched boycott Blizzard movement on the internet that involved canceling subscriptions for games like World of Warcraft. The Blizzard subreddit even successfully transformed the character Mai from Overwatch into a symbol for Hong Kong, a move they hope will get Overwatch banned from China the same way Winnie the Pooh was banned after Chinese netizens used the character as a coded symbol for their president. And they have the whole statement. Again, gutless. a gutless coverage article from IGN. You should be absolutely denouncing this 100%, or at the very minimum, reminding people that these companies have zero problem with these policies when it makes them money, and all of a sudden now they have a problem because China. And remember that every time you see people retweeting Riot Games or retweeting Blizzard and they're virtue signaling, you know it's absolute BS. And if nothing else comes out of this, a lot of people got introduced or enlightened to that very fact. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Above, you'll find some links to watch more videos, as well as a nice big button to subscribe, which I hope you'll do. If you did enjoy it, make sure before you go that you leave a like and a comment on the video, because you are the #1 reason this channel continues to grow, and I appreciate you.